Hello everybody and welcome to Uproot Reddit. Let's face it, furry friends in the office can brighten everyone's day. Imagine working at an office and a lady with a dog comes in, assuming your company is a doggy daycare. At least that was Reddit user Swarm Tendon's experience in today's IDontWorkHereLady post entitled, "This isn't a dog daycare at all." Even so, here's what Swarm Tendon experienced. A while back, I was working in an office that allowed dogs. It was an open floor plan, and since customers never came into the office, we kept the dogs' food and water bowls right by the front door, just because it was the most convenient space and no one else would see them but us who worked there. Of the 6 of us who worked in the main office area, I was the only one who didn't have a dog. No pets policy at the apartment, and always felt horribly left out. To make matters worse, across the way was a doggy daycare. One day, a very frantic woman came in and she had an absolutely massive basset hound with her. Usually, the only people who came into the office were associates who had appointments with someone working there, but it was rare that they brought their dogs. She ran up to me and said, "Do you work here?" And I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And she said, I wasn't sure if you took walk-ins, but I read online I could just drop him off. I tried to call, but no one answered." I didn't know what she was talking about at that point, and I said, come again? Who did you call exactly?" Thinking if I could just saddle her off to whoever she came to see, I wouldn't have to decipher her problem. She said, "Well, it doesn't matter now. Look, something urgent's come up and I really need to leave him here. Here's his food he likes and I'll be back in a few hours and..." At this point, I wasn't thinking of the doggy daycare. I thought maybe she was a friend of someone here. I said, "Well, all right. Can I get your name, please?" And she said her name and then asked if I needed her to sign anything. And I was so confused at this point. I just said, "Why would I need you to sign something?" And she left almost immediately. So I took Otis, the dog, to the back and showed him to my coworkers, and no one knew the woman or dog. Wow, I can only imagine bringing a basset hound into the office and just having a confused look on your face like, what am I supposed to do with this dog? Anyways, Swarm Tendon continues. I was worried she wouldn't come back. But at the same time, my wish for an office dog had been granted. And Otis was supremely chill. All he did all day was lie around and drool onto his own ears. I just freshened him up every now and then, took him out every couple of hours, and he was happy as a clam on a big cushy dog bed we thankfully had an extra of. He just loved attention from anywhere he could get it. Yeah, I'm betting Otis is probably thinking, "Oh yeah, this kind of thing happens all the time with my mom. Not sure why. But as long as I get belly rubs, that's fine." What a good boy. And the story continues. At the end of the day, the woman, thank goodness, came back. She said, "Thanks, you're a lifesaver. How was he?" And I said, "He was a champ." And was about to say, "But why is he here?" When she said, "Oh, that's a relief. Most kennels say he gets anxious around other dogs. I heard you operated at a much higher capacity. I was thrilled to see you had so few clients in the room at one time. So how much do I owe you?" And that's when I realized she thought we were a dog daycare. Now, I probably should have corrected her, but I loved my day with the office dog, and I did want to get paid for supervising this strange dog all day. I just threw out the number that sounded fair and appropriate. "That'll be $20, I said. Wow, that's actually not bad. Then again, it could depend on the location of where this office is at. She replied, "Really?" in this very high tone, and I couldn't tell if I'd overshot or undershot. But she paid me and left. My coworkers were laughing hysterically when they realized what had happened, and we thought it would just be a good story for the future. But the next week, she came back. She said we were so much more affordable and less overcrowded than her other place that she was happy to use us. I was glad for the company, so I just took him in. I didn't think there was any way she couldn't have at least some idea we weren't a dog daycare. The whole ordeal was so strange, I just figured, don't question a good thing. I was much younger and dumber then. And the doggy daycare continues. Not long after, Otis started getting dropped off 2, sometimes even 3 or 4 days a week. I was in heaven. He was such a love, and he made fast friends with the delivery guys and visitors. One day, we took our office Christmas card photo and Otis was over that day, so we included him in a Santa hat. It was pretty great. Aww, I bet that was so cute. He probably was smiling in that photo like, I have no idea what's going on. But it turns out Otis's owner was friends with one of our clients who, I guess, happened to have the card out on her table or was kind enough to display it alongside her other holiday cards. Because one day, Otis's owner came in holding the card and walked up to me and said, I can't even believe I'm asking this, but is that my dog in this photo? This isn't a doggy daycare at all. This is just an office, isn't it? She said it with a note of surprise, as though she was looking around and putting it all together for the first time. No coincidence that this was the first time she wasn't in some crazy rush either. See, Otis knew what was up. She was like, then who are all these other dogs? And I explained. I was terrified she was going to demand her money back, or worse, take some sort of legal action against us for misrepresenting ourselves as a dog care business or complain to corporate. Instead, she basically said, why didn't you ever say anything? And I explained, we just really liked having Otis around. She stopped for a minute and seemed to be thinking and said, is that right? And I said yes and told the story of how I was the only one in the office without a dog so loved the company. She seemed a little flummoxed or hesitant, understandably, because the whole thing was so weird. She turned to my coworker and asked if I was telling the whole truth. I don't know why she thought my coworker, also a stranger to her, was any more trustworthy than me. But hey, strange times. Coworker backed me up. So she said, well, I wish you'd said something sooner. Could have saved me a lot of embarrassment with my friend back there. All right, I have to get going. See you at 4 o'clock. And what did she do? And she left Otis. I couldn't believe it. I said, so he can stay? And she replied, where else could I find someone to watch him one-on-one all day for $20? And off she went. Otis stayed my office dog until his family moved away. Luckily, right around the same time, I took a new job. With all this time sitting around doing nothing, thought it was as good a time as any to tell that story. And here's a longer version of the title that we spoke of earlier. Quote, woman drops her dog off in our pet-friendly office thinking it's a nearby dog daycare. It becomes a regular thing. She doesn't realize the mistake until she spots the dog in our company Christmas card months later. This was a while ago. Corrected a couple minor misremembrances. Thank you so much for all the kind comments and awards. I am so happy you all could enjoy Otis as much as we did. You know, I think we can all agree that Otis is best boy. He deserves Furry Friend of the Year awards. Now, little old ladies can be some of the sweetest people on earth, especially if they mistake you for a grocery store clerk. At least, that's what Reddit user Clammy Hydra experienced in our IDontWorkHereLady post titled, Older Lady Thought I Was Bringing Her a Shopping Cart to Use in the Grocery Store. Yesterday, I was running the gauntlet at my local grocery store. I picked up a disinfectant wipe at the door and went to the cart station and wiped down the cart I was going to use. Yep, first order of business, make sure you disinfect it. You never know whose grubby mitts were on that cart last. I was finally satisfied, so I started pushing it back to the door to throw away the used wipe. Just as an old lady comes through the door, she smiles really big and says, "Oh, thank you," and moves to take her cart. I said, "You're welcome." Then I grabbed another wipe and went to get another cart. You know, I'm glad she got a cart I was sure wouldn't give her the virus. With this kind of post, faith in humanity is restored. Now that was too pure. But you know what isn't? A wild Karen on the loose. Not in the wild, mind you, which, according to this Reddit post, the setting should have been in the wild. Apparently, Reddit user Is That My Waffle experiences one of the weirdest, most outlandish encounters. In today's post, a wild Karen meets her match. For background, I am a police officer in Australia. I work in plainclothes. At work, I wear a business shirt with tie, suit pants, and have my utility belt with gun, taser, pepper spray, and all other necessary accoutrements on the belt. I also have a police badge clipped to my belt and another police badge with my work ID around my neck. This incident also happened while coronavirus was spreading rapidly. Most businesses had been closed by government mandates. People have to ensure they are practicing social distancing or they can be fined, which is again all too relevant concerning what's going on nowadays. Social distancing saves lives, as everyone knows. Well, everyone besides Wild Karen. The government hasn't mandated that people stay home, but have limited the number of people allowed in groups. No contact with strangers. And you should only out for work or essential supplies. It's also important to know that in Australia, members of the public cannot carry firearms in public, and it's difficult to get a license to even possess a firearm. A few days ago, I was at work and my partner needed to buy supplies from an office supply store nearby. The stuff at this store wear far blue polo shirts. We went to the store and my partner was getting everything she needed. Now mind you, this police officer here is wearing plain clothes. Listen to what happens next. Quote, I was waiting when I hear this screeching voice from behind me. Where are all the chargers? I turn around and see this Karen standing there with her arms crossed, glaring at me. And as mentioned in the title before, this setting should have been in the wild, not in an office supply store of all places. Anyways, we continue. Now, let me remind you that I'm wearing all my work gear and a bright pink long sleeve business shirt. Yeah, and the workers were wearing far blue polo shirts. You would think that blue and pink are two totally different colors, but according to the Wild Karen, I guess not. I say to the Karen, I'm not sure where the Karen is not impressed and cuts me off, steps very close to me, well within what I consider my personal space at the best of times, but when I'm at work, it's an offensive gesture. Karen then screeches, You work here. How the heck do you not know where chargers are? That sounds more like a war cry than a screech to me. I look the Karen dead in the eye and with a stern voice say, First thing, I don't work here. Second thing, I'm a police officer. I point at my gun, taser, and badge. Third thing, you are currently breaching social distancing laws and can be fined. Step back now. Yeah, what part of 6 feet did you not understand from the government mandate, Karen? The Karen quickly turned around and ran from the store. I'm just happy that actual staff didn't have to deal with her because she was rude from the start. I should have pointed out that a phone charger isn't an essential purchase. Our government deems essential items as food and medicine. You can also go outside to exercise or travel to work. I'm a 32-year-old, and for me personally, a phone charger is essential. I live off my phone, but is anything a Karen wants really essential? Yeah, Karen, there's a such thing as Amazon or anything that has to deal with online shopping. You can get a charger online and have it shipped to your house. Oi! Well, that's all for today. We'll be back for more sweet and sassy encounters right here on Uproot Reddit. Stay safe and continue practicing social distancing. Don't be like a wild Karen.